Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here for an early look breakdown of the Week 2 NFL main slate on DraftKings. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Before I get into the analysis, I do want to say thank you guys again for all support. Seriously, the support on the videos, on the live streams, as well as on Twitter is greatly appreciated. The easiest way to support me right now, guys, since all the content is free, is leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, closing in on 5K subscribers right now. Also, if you guys have friends that play DFS and you enjoy the content, you're making money, just spread the word. Would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you can't watch the videos I do upload on Apple Podcasts, the link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. But with that all out of the way, let's jump into the video. Before we get into players and the prices for the slate, first, there is a lot of content coming out, guys. So the Monday night slate coming up in a few hours tonight, I will be live streaming 45 minutes before lock to go over everything, answer any questions you guys do have. Also, NBA, I did just upload my video for the 2-game slate tomorrow. We have the U.S. Open coming up on Thursday. I'll have a video for that probably later tonight, so be on the lookout for that. I got a lot of content coming at you guys, but all right, before we talk about players' prices, let's look back on the lineup from Week 1. And Week 1, I made some mistakes. No doubt about it, I made some mistakes, and that's why I like doing these look-back videos. So let's go over my lineup. It was not a good start for me. So went with Bridgewater, McCaffrey, Boston Scott, Allen Robinson, Ruggs, Edwards, Hurst, Kamara, and the Dolphins. I mentioned that I really wanted to spend up to get those bell cow backs in my lineup. I wanted 3. Mentioned I was going McCaffrey, and I think that was potentially a mistake. With there being there's so many, I should say, good plays in the mid-range on Week 1 that I think getting to McCaffrey and prioritizing him might have been a mistake. Now, sure, we probably did get more of a floor game, 28 fantasy points from McCaffrey. He's a guy that has potential to go for 40 plus. I wanted a lot of exposure to that Vegas-Carolina game, and that game did not disappoint. It was 34-30, but where I went wrong was just prioritizing McCaffrey. And with prioritizing him, I had to take some shots on some riskier plays. Those Raiders wide receivers were 2 guys I liked for value. No doubt about it. I played them both. Ruggs was a little bit unfortunate with the injury there. He missed some time. I think he did come back in eventually, but didn't record another catch. He had a nice start, but didn't do anything in the second half. Bryan Edwards, it was the same thing, and just didn't do a whole lot. Obviously, only 1 catch. The snaps were there for both of them, and there was 34 points. So you would figure that both the guys would have had better days. It was just the Josh Jacobs show. They were playing from ahead, and it was just give the ball to Josh Jacobs every single play. And Jacobs was a guy I liked. My concern with him wasn't really utilized a whole lot in the passing game last year. Well, that kind of changed, right? He had 4 catches, I think, for 46 yards. Also had 3 touchdowns, and he was very popular. So with him going off, I knew right away it was going to be a really hard day for me to cash with him going off and both my receivers struggling. So also, you had Davante Adams, who I liked. No doubt about it. I liked him. I knew the volume would be there. Tore up that Minnesota defense. Minnesota defense looked absolutely terrible. Davante Adams went off. He was pretty popular. So with those 2 guys pretty chalky going off, there's just no chance. No chance. Boston Scott, I'm a little bit mad about that one. I feel like I kind of got suckered into that play. A lot of people were super high on Boston Scott. I plugged him in at the last minute, but I mean, the touches were there. They still used Corey Clement too, was the concern. I don't know. I just feel like I got suckered in that one a little bit. Robinson, I was going back and forth with him and Calvin Ridley. And like I said, there are so many good plays in the mid-range. I mentioned everyone in that Seattle-Atlanta game I liked a lot. And I just think, making a lineup a little bit more balanced without McCaffrey would have been the ideal way to go. So definitely made some mistakes here in Week 1, no doubt about it. First mistake was prioritizing McCaffrey. I think there's so many good plays in the mid-range that prioritizing him was definitely a mistake. Also, taking shots on the rookie Raiders receivers was a riskier approach. No doubt about it. That was definitely riskier. Hayden Hurst was a guy I liked a good amount. The points were there. Like, there's a lot of offense for Atlanta. He did only have 3 catches for 38 yards. The snaps were there, so I'm not super concerned about it. All 3 of the Atlanta receivers I think, had over 100 yards. So I'm not super concerned about Hurst. Right? The snaps were there. Just didn't get utilized a whole lot. Kamara had 23 fantasy points, had a touchdown taken away there at the end, and then went the Dolphins D for cheap. So, yeah, it was a bad week for me. 100% looking to bounce back. The good thing about DFS is there's always another day. So that's a look back here of my lineup for week 1. Let's take a look at the Vegas odds for this week. So we have, that Bengals-Browns game is Thursday. We'll have a video up for that showdown as well. We have Falcons-Cowboys. It's a 52 over-under. Dallas are 5-point favorites. So that's a game that has potential to shoot out. We have Bills-Dolphins, a little bit of an uglier game, 41.5 over-under. Bills are 4.5-point favorites. Panthers-Bucks are 49 over-under. Bucks are 9-point favorites. Another game that has potential to shoot out. Broncos-Steelers, 43 over-under. Steelers are 6-point favorites. Lions-Packers is a 47.5 over-under. Packers are 6-point favorites. We have the Rams-Eagles of 46 over-under. Right now it's a pick'em. Vikings-Colts of 47.5 over-under. Colts are 3-point favorites. Giants-Bears of 43 over-under. Bears are 5.5-point favorites. 49ers-Jets 42.5 over-under. 49ers are 7-point favorites. We have the Jags-Titans of 43 over-under. Titans are 10.5-point favorites. Washington and Arizona. This is a game I like a good amount. And like I said, I think this has potential to shoot out. 46.5 over-under. Cardinals are 7-point favorites. Ravens, Texans, another game that right now is the highest over-under of the day. 52.5 over-under. Ravens are 7-point favorites. Chiefs, Chargers are 49 over-under. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. So that kind of rounds it out. And there are a lot of games with pretty high over-unders, right? That Chiefs, Chargers, almost 50. 52.5 for Ravens, Texans. 46.5 for Washington, Arizona. I like the over on that one, like I did for Raiders, Carolina, week 1. And then you have, Bucks, Panthers, 49 over-under. Falcons, Cowboys, 52 over-under. So there should be a good amount of points scored this week. So let's talk about quarterback here. At the top is Lamar Jackson at 8-2. He is cash game viable and GPP viable for the reason of he is literally a running back and a quarterback. They have, it's kind of annoying. DraftKings hasn't updated the stats for everyone yet for week 1, but he went for 20 for 25, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and ran for 45 yards on 7 attempts. And this is a game that obviously has a super high over-under. 8.2K, the price didn't really move. So I like Lamar quite a bit for both cash and GPP. The floor is high on him, and the ceiling is also really, really high. So 8.2 is a really, really good price there for Lamar Jackson. Mahomes at 7.7, I think is also cash and GPP viable. Normally, I like spending down on quarterback. I do. But these 2 top quarterbacks have upside, really, to go for 30-plus no matter what. Mahomes won't run as much as Lamar Jackson, but still a guy that can get it done on the ground. Still can go for like over 50 yards on the ground for sure. So I like both those quarterbacks for both cash and GPP. Aaron Rodgers at 6'9". I know he had an amazing week last week, tearing up that Vikings defense. 32 of 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now he's going up against Detroit, who really not great defensively. They struggle in the secondary as well. So you can consider Rodgers more of just a GPP play, though. Like, I would rather get to I feel more comfortable getting to Mahomes, Lamar for a little bit more than I do Rodgers. Dax at 6'8", certainly playable. Now we get to more of the mid-range, which I think is more GPP. Like, there's the 2 guys at the top and some cheaper options I'll consider for cash. No real issue there. Dak at 6'8", but I think more just in play for GPP. That game also has potential to shoot out. Josh Allen, the thing I like about him is a guy that can get it done on the ground, right? Rushed 14 times for 57 yards. So he has that floor is there. So no real issue for Josh Allen. We're not getting him at a huge discount, though. Matt Ryan, he threw how many times last game? 54 times for 450 yards. The Falcons love airing it out, so that's what you get out of Matt Ryan. Again, like him for GPPs. Brady didn't have the best start, 6'5" there, but this is a really good spot. I want to attack Carolina defensively. So Brady's another guy you can look to for GPPs. Deshaun Watson is a little bit of a riskier option. It's a tougher spot here against Baltimore. But another guy that the floor is pretty high because he's a guy that can definitely go for like 50 yards on the ground, maybe a touchdown. We saw him run one in there, kind of in garbage time there against the Chiefs. So Watson, I have no issue there, but I think more in play for GPPs. Big Ben at 6'3", I don't know if I'm going to prioritize him. Stafford at 6'2", again, not super excited about it. Kyler Murray, 6'1" against Washington. He, right now, I think is my favorite play for quarterback. I mentioned, if you guys watched my videos last year for NFL, I played Kyler Murray almost every slate. Last week, I mentioned that Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack. I like that a lot, but I couldn't pull the trigger because I'm a single entry guy. I just couldn't do it in cash. I couldn't play Kyler and Hopkins in cash. But I mentioned, that stack I liked a lot, and it went crazy. He rushed the ball 13 times for 91 yards, 26 for 40 for however many yards he had. They don't have him in there, but he had a really, really good day against a good defense. Now he gets Washington. So Kyler Murray at 6'1", I think is my favorite play for quarterback at the moment. Let's see. Wentz, Tannehill, Cousins, like these are guys that I guess you can play, but it doesn't make sense for me to get to those guys when you have Kyler Murray at a similar price. It just doesn't make sense. Like I'm not going to play Rivers over Kyler. I'm not going to play Jones over Kyler. I'm not playing Goff. I'm not playing Minshew. Bridgewater intrigues me at 5'8". I played him last slate. I mentioned I do like Teddy Bridgewater this year. He had a decent day, 22 of 34 for 270 yards and a touchdown. Also had 26 rushing yards. So he's a guy that can have a little bit of success there on the ground. So you can consider Bridgewater more of a contrarian play. I'm not going to play Jimmy G. Trubisky was terrible the first half, did pick it up, but I'm not going to prioritize him either. Tyrod Taylor actually does intrigue me. He wasn't great at 5'3", but this is a game they should be playing from behind him. Like that game was just so ugly. The Chargers, Bengals was super just slow and not a lot of point scoring. They can't play that way against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to put up points. So this should be good game script for Tyrod Taylor. He's a guy that can get it done on the ground. He does intrigue me as a cheaper play, but I think that the safer option still is Kyler Murray. And that's it for quarterback. So like I said, the couple guys at the top are both in play for cash and GPPs. Any of that mid-range territory of guys I think are only GPP playable. Kyler right now is the guy for me at 6'1". There's a couple other cheap guys that I mentioned, like Bridgewater, like Tyrod Taylor, that I'm considering. Let's move on to running backs. So Christian McCaffrey is at 10K. I like McCaffrey. Obviously, the floor is super high. And if you feel comfortable with enough of the value on this slate, then go ahead and jam in McCaffrey. He was low-owned. I think he'll be low-owned again for the reason of there's not a lot of amazing value. Just looking over the slate, there's not. So that's going to make McCaffrey once again low-owned. I like him a lot, obviously. Right? It's Christian McCaffrey. It's just what do you have to sacrifice to get him in there? Saquon's at 8'4". Hasn't played yet. Obviously, the Giants are coming up playing tonight, so it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. Tougher spot here against Chicago, but I still think he's playable. More of a GBP play for the matchup. Then we get to Zeke at 8'2". This is one of my favorite plays for cash and GPP. He is their clear workhorse back. It's a great matchup against Atlanta, and he gets utilized a good amount in the passing game. And you get him at a 2K discount off of McCaffrey. So right now, Zeke, I guess if you consider 8K in the mid-range, more of a spend up, but I like him a good amount at that price. Derrick Henry at 7'9", he's their clear workhorse back. I think he is certainly playable too. They said he wanted to focus on getting better as a receiver, so I'm interested to see how he looks tonight if they utilize him a decent amount in the pass game. If they do, then obviously he's someone that definitely looks good at 7'9". I'm just curious to see how they use him tonight and if he's going to be worked in more in the passing game. Dalvin Cook's at 7'6". The issue that last game was they fell behind big time. Sorry about that, guys. So we got phased out a little bit, but he is another guy that is their clear workhorse back. Like he'll be utilized a bunch. He can obviously catch some balls too. At 7'6", like I do prefer Zeke at a similar price. I like the matchup a little bit better, and I think the floor is a little bit higher. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was a guy that was great week 1 there. They gave him 25 carries on the ground. Also, he was targeted a couple times during the passing game. I mean, anytime, like literally the Chiefs starting running back, whoever it is always super valuable. This is a game that there should be some points scored, obviously because the Chiefs are playing in it. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I have no issue with at 7-4. I think he's certainly playable. And like I said, any piece really of that Chiefs offense is very, very viable. Aaron Jones at 7-1. Had a decent day, rushed the ball 16 times for 66 yards and a touchdown. The slight concern was they still used Jamal Williams a bit. So, I mean, that is always the worry with Aaron Jones. It's a good matchup against Detroit. No doubt about it. Detroit, I'm not scared of them defensively. So, Jones is a guy that is certainly playable in the mid-range. James Conner, Pittsburgh already said they're going to utilize him as a workhorse back. The matchup against Denver isn't amazing, but if he's going to be their clear 3-down back, like he's a guy that looks like a pretty solid option. Again, I'm curious to see how they utilize him, but all signs are pointing to him being the clear 3-down back and utilize both, obviously, in the rushing game and can catch the ball. Austin Eckler was a guy I liked last slate. He ran the ball 19 times for 84 yards, caught only 1 catch for 3 yards. That's more of an outlier performance. Like, we're normally not going to get that. And like I said, this is a game the Chargers should be playing from behind in, which is actually good for Eckler because I think they utilize him more in the passing game, whereas Joshua Kelly came in, he kind of utilized more of the goal line back, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to utilize Eckler a whole lot down there, but I don't think it matters in a game like this. It should be really good game script. So Eckler's a guy, I don't mind going back to the well. The price dropped a little bit. So I think he's certainly in play there at 6'5". Mostert at 6'4", had a nice day. Did catch a couple balls, which is not something he normally did. I think he had like 4 catches, for 95 yards. He had the 1 long catch for a touchdown. My concern still with Mostert is they do utilize a couple other backs. So like he's not like their clear workhorse back. Again, he's playable, but more of a GBP play. Let's see, Sanders is something to keep an eye on. He got ruled out last game. They're saying he's day-to-day. If he's out, you can go back to Boston Scott, who was pretty chalky that last week. If Miles Sanders plays, I don't think I'd get to him yet. I'm just a little bit worried about the hamstring. Kenyon Drake at 5'9" is one of my favorite plays. I'm really, really high in this Arizona Cardinals offense, especially in this match against Washington. He had a decent day, 16 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, caught a couple catches. 5'9" looks like a really, really nice price point for Kenyon Drake. So right now, he's one of my favorite running back plays. I like him a lot. I also have interest in David Johnson. Now, this is kind of dependent on Duke Johnson, but don't think Duke Johnson is going to be available for this game. If that's the case, I think David Johnson will be their clear 3-down back and be utilized a lot. So this is a game there should be a lot of points scored. 5'8" looks like a decent price point for David Johnson. So I have interest in DJ as well in the mid-range. Malcolm Brown, the concern is they have Cam Akers, right? He had a good day, no doubt about it. 18 carries, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught a couple catches too. It's just they have Cam Akers. He's not their workhorse back. We're not really getting him a discount, right? 5'7". I personally would rather get to Drake, David Johnson, like workhorse backs at a similar price point. Taylor, Marlon Mack did go down, which is good, but they still have Nyheim Hines, and they utilize Hines a lot in the passing game. So another trickier one, like I think that what the role is going to be is Jonathan Taylor's going to be the first and second down back, whereas Hines is going to be the third down back. And at 5'7", I still prefer getting those other guys I mentioned. David Montgomery, kind of the same thing. I think he's in play. Giants defense, not great. The concern is they will still use Tariq Cohen a decent amount. He's like the first and second down back, Cohen the third down back. So I would still rather get to Drake. I would still rather get to DJ over these guys. Ingram, they used a 3-headed monster at running back. I'm just not going to pay 5.4 for him. Again, mentioned Hines, but we're now getting him at a discount there at 5.3. Le'Veon looks like he's not going to be available, but I don't know if I want to go to either of the Jets running backs, whether it be Gore or Josh Adams, in a tough spot here against the 49ers. Jones, I'm just not going to try to go to that Tampa Bay running back situation. I know he was solid, 17 carries for 66 yards, but I guess he's playable. It's just, again, they have McCoy, they have Fournette they can still use. I don't know. Jones is definitely playable. Melvin Gordon, I'm interested to see what the workload is tonight. They have him, they have Philip Lindsay. Could be a 50-50 split, could be maybe 60-40. So matchup's not necessarily the best. I'm curious to see what his usage is tonight. Other options, mentioned Lindsay. J.K. Dobbins got a lot of work, and they have a 3-headed monster there for Baltimore. So all the running backs are risky. Boston Scott is playable only if Sanders is out. He had a bad day as chalk, but I think you could play him again if Miles Sanders is out. Other options like Zach Moss had a decent day. Had 4 catches, 16 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, they will use him. They use Singletary. Not really getting him at an amazing discount, so I'm not going to really prioritize him. AP, and they have Carrion. They have DeAndre Swift they can use. Even though AP was good, it just they're going to utilize 3 backs there. So that's a concern. Kelly had a decent day, but not really getting him at an amazing discount either. Again, I'm not going to get to either of the Jets running backs if Le'Veon's out. They have Gore, Adams. Tough spot. I'm probably not going to do it. Cam Akers, like I said, they have him. They have Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown did look a little bit better, but Akers still will get work. Playable, but more of a GPP play. Got Adams, Gore, the 2 backs for the Jets will utilize if Le'Veon's out, which looks like he will be. Robinson intrigues me here. He got a lot of work. 16 carries for 62 yards. The issue with him is they still have Chris Thompson. They will use more in passing down situations. It's not really the best spot here against the Titans either, but if the Jags get off to an early lead, like James Robinson's a guy that can definitely get value because he is their first and second up back for sure. But again, more of a GPP play. Myles Gaskin surprisingly got the most targets out of him, Howard Breida. Right now, I'm not interested in a 3-headed monster there against Buffalo. I think that really wraps it up for running back. So let's talk about wide receiver now. Davante Adams was pretty popular last slate, and he's going to be popular again. Just a target machine, 17 targets, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now we get some juicy matchup against Detroit defensively. Yeah, Davante looks really good at 8-1. Also really like DeAndre Hopkins. These are 2 guys that are going to be popular. 16 targets for Hopkins, 151 yards. I like pairing him with Kyler Murray. Both these receivers, the reason why I think McCaffrey is more of a contrarian play is you have Adams at 8-1, you have Hopkins at 7-7. Those 2 guys look really, really good, and they're like $2K discount off of McCaffrey. So, like, both those receivers are a good amount at the top. Hill, more of a GPP play there at 7-5. Julio, I think I prefer Ridley for a little bit less. Thielen is their clear number 1 guy. Had 6 catches for 110 yards. I think he's certainly playable. Godwin at 7K. Right now, I prefer him to Mike Evans, even though he's a little bit more expensive with Mike Evans dealing with that injury. Again, there should be good points in that score in that one. Carolina defense is really, really bad, so I have interest in Godwin. I like Calvin Ridley again at 6-8. I prefer him to Julio for the discount. This Atlanta team is just going to pass. Sure, they fell behind early, but still, they are a pass-first team. I like him a good amount in the mid-range. Let's see. Other options. Kupp's viable at 6-7. He's always a safer option. I'm probably not going to get to Juju. Probably not going to get to Diggs. Robinson, I don't mind going back there at 6-4. The issue is the quarterback play. Trubisky a little bit inconsistent, but he is their clear number 1 guy. It's a decent spot here against the Giants, so I have interest in Allen Robinson in the mid-range. Let's see. Amari Cooper, I like a good amount, 6-3. The concern with him is there are a lot of mouths to feed with the other 2 receivers plus Zeke, but a really, really good matchup and a very good price at 6-3. So I have interest there in Amari Cooper. Fuller, you can pair him with Deshaun Watson more of a contrarian stack because Baltimore's solid defensively, but Will Fuller is clearly their number 1 guy. And Watson has upside at 6-4, so I kind of like that stack as a contrarian stack in GPPs. Galladay, got to keep an eye on his injury if he is out, could open up potential failure there for Detroit. Hollywood Brown, he was utilized a lot. 5 catches, 6 targets, 101 yards. 6.2K. This is a game that's going to be a lot of points scored. I think he's certainly playable, even though the price should come up a bit. Other options, I have no issue with Terry McLaurin. This is a game I think could definitely shoot out. He is their number 1 receiver. He had a decent week 1, 5 catches, 61 yards. I think he is definitely playable as well in the mid-range. T.Y. Hilton, you saw what the Packers just did to that Vikings defense. Didn't have an amazing week 1 there, but he's a guy that is definitely playable as well, more in the mid-range there. Keenan Allen, a contrarian play because of the fact that Tyrod Taylor wasn't great, but I think they're going to have to pass a lot more in this game, in a game that should be playing from behind him. So I actually have interest in Keenan Allen, 5-7. You could definitely run a Tyrod Taylor, Keenan Allen stack. Sure, you're not going to feel great about playing Tyrod Taylor, but this is a game they should be playing from behind it. So I kind of like the pieces there on the Chargers with Allen, with Eckler, even with Tyrod Taylor as a cheaper play. Let's see. Other options here. I'll kind of scroll down a bit. Amendola had a good week at 4-8. If Galladay's out again, I think he'll get some good time. Like he's a playable, cheaper option. Let's see. Russell Gage had a big day as their number 3 receiver, 9 catches on 12 targets. Again, them playing from behind really did help, but this Atlanta team is pass first. I think he's playable as a value option for sure. Preston Williams, we have DAVANTE Parker. Looks like he's going to be out. Where is Parker here? We'll see, but if he's out, Preston Williams will be their number 1 guy. I know it's not necessarily the best spot there, but he's at a playable price point. 100%, they should be playing from behind, 4-8. Like, I think Preston Williams is definitely a guy you can look to for value. Watkins had a big week 1, but he's very up and down, more of a riskier play. CeeDee Lamb's at 4-7. He had a nice day there, 5 catches, 6 targets, 59 yards. They utilized him a good amount. 4-7, like I think him, Amari Cooper do look pretty good for at their respective prices in a good matchup there. I think Fitz is viable at 4-6 if you need a cheaper receiver to pair with Kyler and you can't get to DeAndre Hopkins. I don't have an issue with Fitz. Let's see. Christian Kirk had a bad week 1. But again, you can pair him with Kyler if you can't get to Hopkins, either him or Larry Fitzgerald. I don't think we had as many targets as we did week 1 there for Hopkins. Jalen Reagor is a guy I'm looking to at 4-1 for value. Only had 1 catch, but he got the most snaps there for Philly. Philly's receiving core pretty thin. He got a lot of hype in training camp. So I have interest in Jalen Reagor here at 4-1. I think he's one of the better value plays at the moment. I think that wraps up for now. Like Marvin Hall, you could play if Galladay's out. He would be asked to play a lot more snaps. All right, let's finish it up with tight end here. So at the top we have Kelsey 7K, Kittle 6-7, Andrew 6-3. I think all look pretty decent options, but tight end I normally spend down for cash games. So those guys are all in play for GPPs. Have no issue with any of them. Who's my favorite of the 3? Probably Andrews. For I think that's the best matchup, but all 3 definitely playable. Ertz had an okay week 1, but Goddard had the big week. Ertz at 5-6, Goddard at 5K. If you're going to make me pick, I would go Ertz. I think the ownership will be lower on him after Goddard had the big day. But both are guys that, again, like I mentioned, that receiving corps is pretty thin. The tight ends will be utilized a lot for Philly. I don't mind going back to Hayden Hurst, to be honest, at 4-6. Again, I still think he's a guy that he's their clear. He's a 3-down tight end. Atlanta loves passing the ball. Playable price point if you want to get a cheaper piece of this Falcons passing attack. So I have interest there in Hayden Hurst. Gronk, a riskier option. So they do have a couple other tight ends there with O.J. Howard, Cam Brate, but bad. Like I said, a good matchup there against Carolina. He's playable. More GBP play though for me. Gesicki's a guy I'm looking to, because Miami pretty thin right now with their receiving corps with DAVANTE Parker possibly out. 4K, I think he's certainly a guy that you can consider. A couple other options here, like Jack Doyle's at 3-6. The price point looks pretty decent. I think he's potential. Chris Herndon was a guy I was pretty high on, 3-4. He's had another bad matchup here against the 49ers, but he had 6 catches for 37 yards. Him, Jameson Crowder got utilized a good amount there for the Jets. I think he's playable. Let's see. Who was the other? Or where is? Let me go to Washington really quick. Last guy I wanted to mention here, Logan Thomas. So they technically started Sprinkle, but Logan Thomas played basically 75% of the snaps. Last year, we wanted to target tight ends against Arizona, and I think this is a game that definitely can shoot out. I kind of like Logan Thomas at 3-6. He's a guy that's a good pass catching tight end. I had 8 targets last game. I'm definitely interested in him as a cheaper tight end option. And then I think that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. So if you haven't enjoyed the content this far, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. I will be live streaming for Monday's 2-game slate, 45 minutes before lock if you guys are interested in that. Also, since this is only my first look video, I'll have a final look video. I'll probably have a couple other videos more in-depth here for week 2. But thanks again, guys. I hope you guys all have a good day, and I will see you all later.